Hello, Sanbonani, Dumelang, Molweni, Mzansi, Africa. Well, teenage binge drinking in South Africa has been identified as a potent threat to youth development in the country. Well, according to OurWord.org, the Association for Alcohol Responsibility and Education, the effect of alcohol abuse continues to rise in the country. Today on Expressions, we are looking into this matter and some of its causes and consequences, especially solutions. Welcome to your #1 youth current affairs show, Expressions, right here on SABC 1 Mzansi for sure and SABC Lihaye. Ndimloge okelo saka lubisi unonkanyezi.
Merry Christmas unonkanyezi.
You look merry.
Thank you very much.
Halala.
I'm Mzansi Africa, and of course I am your host, Ulia Mavumisa. Great to have you this on the Expressions. Now, peer pressure is a huge factor, especially for teenagers, but also for us adults. Going to a braai or a dinner and everyone is drinking good wines and even champagnes. Now that puts the pressure on everyone else to drink. Those who are sober or who never drink alcohol can also feel left out and even alone. Worryingly, more than 50% of South African teenagers admit to having tried alcohol by the time they are 18. From mere curiosity and societal expectations to even their upbringing, predisposition towards drinking and peer pressure, there are many reasons as to why teenagers might turn to alcohol. Now, our producer, Tule Tundo, and resident street journalist Azaria took to the streets of Johannesburg to hear the views of young people.
You can't have fun in alcohol. You could drink.
I definitely do think that the youth of South Africa has a problem with alcohol, especially because with the university that I go in, our culture is drinking. Our university culture is drinking. When we're done with exams, the plan is to drink. When we want to hang out, the plan is to drink. So I definitely do think that the youth of South Africa has a problem with drinking, myself included.
Nangiphuzela uku-enjoy ngibona abantu aba-fresh yabo ngichillax namajita kube mnandi ngalala endlini ngibe nje namajita lobo busuku lobo
ukuthi si-free kuyadayiswa yonke indawo akukho ukuthi mhlambe kunendawo ukuthi bayatshela ukuthi la sivala ngalesi sikhathi so ku-free nje uthola amathaveni wonke umuntu uyadayisa nje noma ubani nasesitradini uthola kudayiswa that's why uthola iy'ngane lezi ey'ncane naso egcina iphuza.
When it comes to festive seasons, we don't really know how to handle alcohol very well.
O tlo fumana hore ka nako ngwe batho ba nwa haholo ba sebedisa ditjhelete hampe o fumana hore let's say ka bo January nje o fumana motho a sena tjhelete a sena next ka baka la jwala fela and o fumana hore bo senya le di ntho tse ngata di-relationship ka matlong bo ka ihlile jwala bo a senya nje.
Into khona uba i-pressure sometimes yabo ngoba unokuphuza utshwala uphuza ungaphuza uphuza ukuthi abangani bayaphuza yabo because bekanje kunabantu abala igoli bagcina bekhohle bazeleni because of utshwala.
Well, there you have it. Those are some of the interesting views coming from young people there on the street talking about this rather pertinent conversation involving young people and also drinking. And to, of course, help me unpack this a little bit further, I have the honor and pleasure of being joined in Namhlanje in studio, particularly in this side of the desk, Jacob Mpela, who is from a recovery program. And also joining us is Ray Zulu, who is a brand influencer and also club host. Gentlemen, welcome to the show and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. I think, Jacob, you can paint us a picture of what are the trends, particularly with young people that we see in this current dispensation as far as alcohol is concerned.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. I feel quite privileged to be here, to be of service and to speak about my life. I'm not a subject matter expert on alcohol. I'm going to talk about Jacob. I am a recovering alcoholic. I'm sober 12 years going on. I'll be 13 years sober in March next year. And what, in my view, I have seen growing up, Hakehola, is that I found it difficult to socialize. I felt like I couldn't fit in. I felt kind of left out. You know, I had what we call in the fellowship the hole in the soul, a spiritual malady. I would go at lengths to explain that, but what it means generally is that I didn't feel I was quite the fit.
Okay.
You know, and the magic happened when I touched that first drink.
Yeah.
You know, then I got the sense of ease and comfort.
So you believed?
Also, I believed,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but unbeknown to me, this became a solution. You know,
A solution to what, Brad Jacob? What were you currently facing which then prompted you to even believe that alcohol might be the solution?
well, like I said, growing up feeling ukarwa shotanyana, ukare ha o kgone ho fita in
Okay.
into groups as a teenager.
All right.
There's a lot of peer pressure as a teenager, you know, and there are a lot of activities, you know, and one ends up wanting to be part of something.
All right.
In my view. And I guess I wouldn't have been able to partake in those activities by my own self. You know, without the social lubricant, king alcohol.
Okay, all right. You call it the social lubricant. I'm going to get back to you know, the rest of your story.
Inverted commas.
In inverted commas.
Yeah, social
but for
lubricant.
you, Ray Zulu, talk to me. So you're a club host, right?
Yeah.
We're talking off air because I'm interested to find out then, as a club host, how do you ensure that, you know, your consumers or the ballers that we were talking about and the girls that you would bring consume limited amounts of alcohol? Or is that actually a mandate from the club to make sure that they have as much alcohol as they should?
Right, yeah. So I have no say to how much alcohol one should have as a club host. My thing is just, you know, making sure that they buy more alcohol. So obviously buying more alcohol, that's more consumption. You know, we don't get like a mandate. You're going to like make sure that people drink as much as alcohol. It's totally up to a person. Like if you're going to come up to me and offer to buy me a drink, I'm not going to stop you from buying me more drinks.
Okay.
You know, I'm here to have fun after all, so.
But how much fun is too much fun? That's I guess that's the gist of my question.
Your question.
Yeah.
Honestly, I would be lying to you.
You can't see
yeah,
properly.
I mean, the night is still young.
The night is still young. Well, I guess then, because this is also an educational show, I should also factor in this. What sort of responsibility then do you think you have in terms of being able to, you know, manage your alcohol consumption and even that of your consumers?
Yeah. Well, firstly, as a club host, like I said, I bring girls, right, with me. And, you know, in the South Africa that we live, people, most especially teenagers, get kidnapped and all of that. So I make sure that, yeah, we may have fun by drinking, but also be mindful of the situation around you. Drink as much as you are able to still make sense out of yourself, you know. You are able to request yourself home. Yeah, like you can have meaningful conversations, you know. You find people, because it's like they can't even utter a word or make up a sentence.
Okay.
So for as long as I can have a proper conversation with you
And comprehend.
And
be
yeah.
able to comprehend.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to talk about, you know, some of the effects and also some of the programs that you have after the ad breaker. But for now, we quickly have to go to an ad breaker. Do stay with us. This is Expressions.
The problem is that we've been saving for December. Our plan was to save for December so we can use our money in December. January, I don't know if like people tell themselves this, but this is what I tell myself. January is its own month. It has its own problems that I'll find when I get there. But for my December for now, I'm trying to have fun and I'm trying to use my money that I've been saving for the year. Yeah. So yeah, I don't think people think about that.
I don't think I have a budget. Whatever happens, happens. Whether I spend 1,000, whether 2,000, as long as I'm having fun. January will see itself.
Alcohol ka ba teng, but iska ba too much. Iska ka se ke ga sebedisa jwala haholo. Ka nahana hore maybe jwala ke bona ba ka etsa monate. There are other things like music e ka etsang monate.
Abacabangi suke benza kubenzela into yamanje. Umuntu uyenza ukuthi ngemali manje uDecember manje ufuna enjoy manje.
Wow, interesting comments coming from young people on the streets. You are still watching your #1 youth show, Expressions. And of course, we are talking about the increasing number of young people consuming alcohol, especially during the festive season. With me is a young person and a college student, Usifik. Join the conversation on our social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Tweet those little fingers. We are at expressions_10. Hello, Sifik. Welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. We're talking about, young people consuming alcohol, and there seems to be a lot of irresponsibility. Share with us, how were you introduced to alcohol?
Okay, so basically, I was introduced to alcohol through my friends, right? Because when you get to matric, you do this thing where it's like, guys, let's put in money. We're all drinking today. And to not feel left out, you feel like you also have to contribute, whether you drink or not.
Yeah, so it's the societal expectations and the pressures that got you into alcohol.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we understand that you stopped. What made you to take that decision?
I stopped because of boundaries. At first, I thought it was being a mean person. If you say no to your friends, it'll feel like you're being mean. But I found the difference between boundaries and being a mean person.
Yeah, and now you're doing your first year. You moved from home, you're doing your first year, and there seems to be a lot of freedom in varsity. You can go wherever. It looks like you don't have to account to anyone. How did you fight the pressures? Because, there are a lot of parties. It's okay, this Friday, siya gupi gupi. How did you fight those pressures?
To be quite honest, I started fighting them mid-year because I realized that every time you drink, you have to try and make an academic comeback at the end of the semester. And fighting for good marks isn't really a fun job to do. So rather start from school.
Just recently, it was last year where we witnessed the tragedy in Enyobeni. About 21 teenagers died. And, you think to yourself, what happened to the age restriction? Because, and today we're celebrating Christmas. We know that a lot of young people will be out and about in the streets without any limit. Do you think we even check as young people to say, okay, when do we stop, or we just go with the flow?
Well, if you're talking about venues prohibit males. They target young females. You've never seen a female entering a club and they check their ID. When I was younger, I was 18 at the time. I was allowed to enter clubs. They checked my ID. They were like, you're under 21. You can't come in. My female friends, they were allowed to come in freely. So they target young females on purpose.
So you think maybe them targeting young females is also to lend them so that they attract these affluent men to pay the bills?
It's always like that.
And we have a club host on the desk. Do you have any question that you'd like them to answer regarding this?
Yes, please.
What's your question?
Okay, so as a club host, you're here today to speak against alcohol abuse, right? But at the same time, you pressurize people to buy more booze. So my question is, how do you stop young people? Like, what role do you play on a weekend-to-weekend basis to stop young females from entering clubs and being victims of predators?
Yeah. Unenje Benje Uvile, for sure on the last segment, he will answer to that one. They spoke about depression, that, as young people, there's so much issues that are affecting us, looking at the high rate of unemployment. Do you think maybe we use alcohol to escape the reality of depression?
Oh, definitely. Because if we're being honest, unemployment brings shame. Shame causes depression. It's a no-brainer.
Right, thank you so much for sharing your insights, and I'm happy for you that we are wayeka. Please,
No problem.
Right, in Bugeliwe Expressions, we are talking about alcohol consumption among young people. The number is really on the rise. What do you have to say about this conversation? Make sure that you hit us up on our social media platforms. But for now, let's take a quick commercial break. Do not move a muscle. You're watching Expressions.
Welcome, Brecha. Thank you very much for staying with us right here on Expressions on SABC Lehigh and, of course, the SABC Plus. Of course, we're still talking and having that conversation about young people and how much is actually too much of drinking and alcohol consumption. Still joining me on the show is Ray and, of course, Jacob. Now, before I come to you, Brad Jacob, with the pinnacle of your own story and, the aftermath of it, Ray, you had that question there from Sifik before the ad break. He was asking that perhaps aren't you part of the problem there because you're a club host, you want to advocate here on the show about against alcohol consumption and the excessive drinking of young people, yet you invite girls to be part of that. Aren't you part of the problem?
Well, if you put it that way, it may seem like I am, but to my defense, I make sure that the girls that I come with are actually of age. To be in clubs. I make sure that I get girls. Well, most of my friends are like from the ages of 23 and above. So obviously I'd be inviting them.
Let me interject there. I don't think though part of the problem or the major reason is about the age issue. The age issue is how much of the alcohol are you consuming? So remember you said earlier on in our first segment that you have to make sure that they buy as much alcohol as they can. So isn't that then you perpetuating them to excessively drink?
Yeah.
Food for
You're
thought.
making me feel bad now.
I mean, I understand, in hindsight that you're trying to make a living as well for yourself, but food for thought. Because remember we spoke about responsibility. I'll leave you with that food for thought there. Now, let me come to you, Brad Jacob. Perhaps talk to us about your pinnacle and what made you now decide to have a different, perspective in terms of alcohol consumption.
Yeah. First of all, I think let's make a distinction. It is my view and personal thought that alcoholism is the most publicized disease.
Okay, by publicized, do you mean?
When a person thinks, I said to him when we introduced, I said, I'm Jacob, I'm an alcoholic. And he said, yo, good luck, or something to that. He said, congratulations, something to that effect, It is a very tricky issue to be alcoholic, and I don't think we have as much education to educate our people about what is alcoholism.
Yeah.
First of all, alcoholism is a disease.
Okay.
Right? And I never knew.
Medical disease?
Well, the medical fraternity cannot disclose or pronounce, rather, alcoholism. As a medical person, you cannot pronounce something that you don't have a pill for, can you?
Okay, all right.
Or
even evidence to prove the existence
or even
of it.
evidence, But in my past life, I have been referred to psychologists and counseling and things like
And were they
those.
of use to you?
No, they weren't.
Why do you say
To tell you the honest truth. Like I said, it's the most under-publicized disease that we sit in, we sit with in our country.
Yeah.
And for example, let me just try and explain. There are 3 types of drinkers. We have what we call a social drinker. I was at a party on Saturday.
Okay.
And this guy had a bottle of something. He was given a bottle of something, and I was sitting there watching him because I'm alcoholic. I've got the tendency to watch people drink, because I was a gulper, I used to throw them down. And this guy he mixed about 3 glasses, and after the 3rd glass, he had a can of Coke and water. And I was surprised. I was like, whoa, dude, what are you doing? This is alcohol abuse. How can you drink and have Coke and water in between? That's what is a social drinker. This type of person that, to a certain extent, when they drink, they get to a place where they feel lethargic and they don't want to do anything.
Stop, okay.
They don't want to continue drinking, and they stop. And
sorry to cut you there, just because of time, I'm going to ask you to kind of wrap up because I need to get to Ray as well. So the 2 types of drinkers as well?
We have a social drinker, we have what we call a hard drinker.
A hard drinker.
A hard drinker can come across as somebody that is borderline alcoholic but isn't.
Okay.
A hard drinker can stop or moderate.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Right.
If a serious issue pops up, like a job or a relationship or some important matter in their lives, they can stop or entirely or even moderate. And then there's what we call alcoholic, which is me.
Okay.
Once I pick up that first glass, I cannot stop.
You cannot stop.
No.
What made you then say, I want to stop now?
I was at the T-junction of life. I had failed at everything. I had lost everything of value in my life. My life had passed in front of my face. I had lost my aspirations. My dreams were gone. I was alone in the corner, and I was a non-entity. I was not wanted anywhere.
Right.
My career was gone, and I was on rock bottom, drinking concoctions in my last days of drinking, and I just wanted to die.
You wanted to die?
Yeah, because I tried everything. You know, I was told, go to church. I've been...
And nothing seemed to work, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'd been to so many altar calls. I've been prayed on. I've been prophesied on. I've been given concoctions to drink. You know, I've been to every corner of earth to try and find a solution for my drinking. And yet, I could not stop drinking even when I wanted to. And I didn't know what was happening with me. Yeah.
I'm running out of time. I know this is a very interesting topic, particularly when you have the brighter side of the story to speak about. But Ray, for you, just in closing, I mean, would you say that clubs and even, you know, advertising that we see on social media and on television, is it perpetuating? You know, what role does advertising play in also making sure that they exacerbate the situation of young people drinking?
Like Civic said, I mean, having to see these things on TV actually influence us, besides peer pressure itself, you know. You see an artist on TV drinking a cup of, or a glass of Hennessy or a glass of champagne.
And it looks nice.
It looks nice. You want to try that, you know. You get celebrities sponsoring these brands and all of that. I mean, you, as a club host or as any young person, you would want to be, you know, that kind of a person. You want to involve yourself with that kind of brand and everything. So it does play a huge role in, you know, influencing us into excessive drinking.
Remember, Segwe festive season, as much as we want to indulge, responsibly.
Winners know when to stop. And we are grateful as Expressions that we amplified your voice as a young person on this pertinent topic. Well, asikushiye wedwa Amanda Ungangile. Have a great one.
Walking down the pearly beach, sun shining on my back, the smell of the sea lures me into another world. Ooh, island paradise. Lying on the deck chair, watching people walk by. The sun shines off the ocean, as red as my sunburn. Ooh, island paradise. Don't make me go home. I want to stay at least